Because, for example, when I joined, I remember an experience. I even mentioned it in a message I sent you earlier. That there is a subtitle that I put like this: Welcome to Hell. Why did I put this title, Daniel? When I was a pastor's assistant, the assistant he works in the headquarters 24 hours a day. In the cathedrals, the assistant does not learn the Bible. Maybe you, as a mother who will watch this live, which is so important that Daniel is doing with us here with others. Maybe you are curious to know, my son will now be a pastor of Universal. Will he learn the Bible? No, he will not. He will not learn the precepts of Christianity, help others love, but he will learn to glue envelopes of campaign. He will learn to fill glasses. He will learn to serve as an imitator of the pastors. So there in the cathedrals, we had a routine of sleeping at the right time, waking up at the right time, few hours of sleep and a lot of work around the campaign itself. Campaigns just that. When I left this cathedral, they told me, now you are going to your first church. You will help a real pastor. You will do a cult, a meeting. You will preach the Bible. I said, thank God I'm going to leave here and start preaching. Look, Daniel, when I got to this headquarters, because that's where we started, the thing is not something that happens from 1 hour to the next. A lot of people will say, but why do you spend so much time? And then you will understand, because it is not from one day to the next. Because the universal itself, the ideology itself, the way of teaching itself, is that you have to look at the institution with good eyes. You cannot question, you cannot doubt. Because what comes from there comes from God. So you grow up looking at pastors as holy men, men like that. You have to have that fear, reverence. Always with that way of treating people. Yes, sir, no, sir. So this way of treating leaders was what I learned too. So when I went to this headquarters, the pastor was already waiting for me, the so-called regional. At the regional headquarters, he didn't say anything. Not good morning, not good afternoon, not good evening. He called me, made a gesture like this. I put my bags in my hand like this, let me go. I went into the room with him. I've told this many times on my channel. He called me into a room, put me on a table with a sheet of paper in white, a sheet written on the bottom, but with the sheet turned down, looked into my eyes and said to me, welcome to hell. He said to me, welcome to hell, really? Then I looked at him like that. That sheet that was in front of me, when he turned the sheet, on that sheet were the meetings, on the side of the meetings were the gaps in white of the values that should enter there. In other words, I was entering the world of goals. Goals of gathering, goals of campaign, because if the people who are watching don't know, all the pastors of the Universal Church of the Kingdom of God have goals of gathering. They are forced to set goals. And when I saw that phrase, when I was young, I was kind of shocked, but I didn't understand. I didn't understand that well, and I started to understand. I started to gradually understand that the goals were not spiritual. It was not the goal of helping others. I started to understand because I went to meetings with the bishop. As a bishop subordinate, I had access to internal meetings. I saw their behavior in the backstage. I started to notice things that people who are in the cults had no access to. So I started to look for it myself. I went to the Bible itself. I started to look for it. I went to the Bible itself. I started to look for it myself.